Anita and Carole.
Strong, vivacious, determined, and loving are just a few words that describe a powerful woman. Good morning. Anita and I are here to give you a look into a woman's life who we believe possesses all of these qualities and more. Sarina Paulsen was born on December 13, 1957 in the Samoan Islands. She was born in a town called Apia, which is located in the western region. When we first met Sarina, we saw a woman who had gone through a life of hardship and pain. But as she began to talk with us about her past and where she wants to go in her future, we realized that behind all that pain stood a tower of strength. A strength that brought her through her youth, life as a mother and wife, and a force to better her life and career, beginning with her education.
Her youth. Apia, Samoa, located west of the Cook Islands, north of Tonga, and some 300 miles south of Tokelau. In 1968, when Sarina was 10 years old, one of many tragedies struck her immediate family. Then one and only father that she knew and loved passed away. He, being the breadwinner of the family, left them with no means to support themselves. A few years go by, and Sarina and her oldest brother came home from the military, seeking to persuade his family to move to Germany with him so that he could be the sole provider. Sarina, her twin sister, didn't want to move to Germany, and the only other option was to move to Wellington, New Zealand with their aunt and uncle. When the girls finally arrived in New Zealand at the age of 16, Sarina quoted, "It was definitely a different world, living in a home where they were so strict and had so many rules." She went on to say, "At dinner time, we would pray and read the Bible, and we were told to speak about what we learned from that Bible lesson." Sarina and her sister were not allowed to hang out with friends and do normal things girls their age were doing. They weren't allowed to have boyfriends, apply makeup, and even converse on the phone. Sarina lived in her aunt and uncle's home for 2 years before marrying her first husband, Philip Matua.
They were happy and started their family right away, having a son, Philip. Next came her second son, Finney. Third, her daughter, Bernice. Fourth came Michael. And then her fifth child was another girl, Sarah Jane. After having 5 children, Sarina said, "I was young and grew up the same time they did. I was glad I had them when I was young, because now I would be way too tired." While her children were blossoming into teenagers, her husband, Philip, fell ill. He was diagnosed with brain cancer and soon after passed away. Sarina had no income, and with her growing teenagers, she had to find a way to supply just their basic needs. So, no less, Sarina stayed strong and provided for her family, even through her mourning. 2 years after her husband's passing, Sarina visited Washington State to attend her mother's 70th birthday bash. Her mother and the rest of her immediate family had migrated to Washington a few years before, and while visiting for the festivities, Sarina found out that her mother was going to be put on dialysis. After hearing this disheartening news, Sarina said, "There is no way that I can go back to my normal life." In 1992, Sarina decided to pack up her children and move to Washington to be closer to her ailing mother. Her mother was surrounded by not only Sarina's sisters and brothers, but also by all of their children. She was continually being visited by all of them, taken care of by all of them. So, needless to say, during her death and as she died, she was surrounded by family. She was well up and very well taken care of. Sarina and her family were settling into the area nicely when she met a nice man by the name of Edward Paulsen. They began dating, and soon after they were inseparable. They were married April 13, 1995. About a year into the marriage, to Sarina's shock and surprise, she was expecting her 6th child, Edward Joseph Paulsen. She went in for a routine doctor visit, and she thought she was just sick, and she had a little cough, cold, and she went in, and they said, "Well, we're going to take a pregnancy test." And she's like, "Yeah, sure, go ahead. I don't need that." And she came back, and she was pregnant, and she started crying because she didn't know that she was pregnant, and she was just like, "I already have 5 kids." But needless to say, he's still very well loved, and she calls him her blue-eyed baby. Since her other children were older, they helped out around the house and with their baby brother as much as they could. Meanwhile, Sarina's husband, Edward, was dealing with demons that he was trying to keep a secret. He was an alcoholic. Sarina found out and wanted to work on his recovery, but because of the severity of his addiction, on March 3rd, 2007, he died while in their bed. When her second husband passed away, their son was 10 years old, the same age Sarina was when her father had passed. Sarina said, "Edward was so angry, I didn't know what to do." She was told about a program they have at Mary Bridge Children's Hospital for children who have lost parents from substance abuse. At first, Sarina was reluctant to send him, but she gave it some thought and wanted to pull him out of his anger. When Edward returned home, she said he was a different boy, and she was glad that she had sent him. By this time, she thought her life could not get any worse, and she stood on her own 2 feet, and she picked up the pieces of her shattered life.
Her strength and determination to better her life. Currently, Sarina is enrolled in the GED program at CPTC, not because she didn't graduate high school or get her diploma, but because she says she wanted to get back to the basics. She told us, "It's been 30 some odd years since I graduated. Like my mom used to say, you have to crawl before you walk and run." Sarina works in a nursing home, helping and encouraging all she comes in contact with. She told us a funny story about an older gentleman after her husband had passed away, and he was in the nursing home, and his wife had just passed away, and he wouldn't get out of bed, he wouldn't eat, he wouldn't shower, he wouldn't do anything. And so all the other nurses tried to coax her into going and said, "You're mean, go do it, go get him out of bed, you can slap him around, get him out of bed." And she's like, "I'm not mean, I can't do it, I can't do it." Well, they finally got her into going in there. So she goes in there, and he's laying in the bed, and he's like, "I'm not getting out of bed." And she's like, "Yes, you are getting out of bed. If you're not going to get out of this bed, I'm going to get in bed with you." So she tries to climb in the bed with him, and he hops out of bed, and he's like, okay, you got me, I'm getting out of bed. So we thought that was a really funny story of how she encourages people and helps them to move on, from, sad times and things that she's already dealt with in her life. After finishing this quarter in the GED program, she hopes to enroll in the nursing program and pass with flying colors. Sarina has done a magnificent job in raising her children. Michael, who is now 33, is a police officer, supervisor for the SWAT team operation out of Olympia. Finney is 31, and he's an architect. Bernice is 30, she's a mother and a wife. Michael is 26, and he's attending PLU to become an engineer. Sarah Jane is 21 and works as a dialysis technician. And 12-year-old Edward is an honor student in the 7th grade doing 10th grade algebra. She mentioned that she wished that her older sons, she wouldn't have made them so independent because they're single. Well, one has a girlfriend, but they're not married, and she would love to have grandchildren.
Summing up this tragic past but very bright future of this modern-day superwoman, speaking about her youth in Samoa and New Zealand, her life as a mother and a wife, and her strength and determination to better her education and career. Anita and I wanted to thank you for your time and your listening ear, and we wanted to leave you with a quote from Sarina. "God has me here because of my big heart. I survived 2 husbands dying on me, and I'm still here. God has me here to finish business."
We also wanted to speak about these pictures. Sarina, I'm glad she's here today because she would not allow us to take a picture. So, yay, we're so glad to see you, and everyone gets to see you today.
Yes.
Here's her youngest son, Edward Joseph, and that's her blue-eyed baby. If you can check out those eyes, she will come up and look. Sarina did have pictures, and she really reluctantly gave them to us, but this is Sarina and her youngest daughter, Sarah Jane. And here is Edward Paulsen, which is her second husband and her youngest son when he was a baby.
This one is her youngest daughter, Sarah Jane. Yeah, Sarah Jane, and she's in the 5th grade. Obviously, she's a lot older now, but this is when she was in the 5th grade. This is Sarina's second day of being here in Washington, and this was in 1992. And this is Bernice, her daughter, and this is the wedding of her and Edward Paulsen in 1996. And this is her son Michael's graduation when he was 18, and just a Christmas photo here in 1998.
And we wanted to say that